Blood dripped onto ancient obsidian, and in that moment, Aria's normal life ended. 4 vampire kings, imprisoned for 5 centuries, opened their eyes in the darkness. They looked at her with hunger, with rage, with something far more dangerous than either. "You've awakened us," the silver-haired one said, his voice like winter itself. "And now, little bride, you belong to us." She tried to run. The pain that tore through her chest dropped her to her knees. Glowing symbols writhed across her skin, binding her to them with magic older than civilization itself. "None of us will let you go," another whispered, his breath cold against her neck. "Not now. Not ever. This is the story of one woman for immortal kings, and a bond that could save them all or destroy everything. A bond she never asked for. A bond she can't escape. A bond that's already changing her into something more than human. They say love is a choice. But what happens when magic makes that choice for you?" The ancient dagger slipped, and Aria watched in horror as blood welled up across her palm. The museum's basement archives were supposed to be safe, just dusty artifacts and forgotten relics from civilizations long dead. But the moment her blood touched the obsidian blade, the temperature dropped 20 degrees and the lights flickered. "No, no, no," she whispered, grabbing a tissue from her pocket. This was exactly what she didn't need on her first solo night shift. Her supervisor had trusted her with closing procedures, and now she was bleeding all over a priceless artifact from the Eastern European collection. The blade began to glow with a faint crimson light. Aria stumbled backward, her heart hammering against her ribs. The glow spread from the dagger to the entire display case, then to 3 other cases positioned at the cardinal points of the room. She hadn't noticed before, but they formed a perfect cross pattern on the floor. The building groaned, and somewhere above her, glass shattered. She needed to get out. Now. But her legs wouldn't move. The blood on her palm burned like acid, and strange symbols appeared on her skin, writing themselves in black ink that seemed to come from beneath her flesh. She screamed, clutching her hand, but the symbols continued spreading up her forearm. Then the cases exploded, not with fire or force but with shadow. Darkness poured out like liquid smoke, coalescing into 4 distinct columns. Aria pressed herself against the wall, her breath coming in short gasps as the shadows began to take shape. They were men. Or at least they had been once. The first emerged from the northern case, tall and imposing with silver-white hair that fell past his shoulders. His eyes opened, revealing irises of pure ice blue that fixed on her with predatory focus. He wore ancient armor, black and etched with silver runes. "The blood bond," he said, his voice like winter wind. "After all these centuries." The second materialized from the south, darker-skinned with close-cropped black hair and features that could have been carved from marble. His eyes were amber, almost golden, and when he smiled, Aria saw fangs. He wore crimson velvet, Renaissance-era clothing that somehow looked fresh despite the dust coating everything else in the room. "A human girl?" He laughed, the sound rich and dangerous. "The fates have a cruel sense of humor." From the east came the third, lean and graceful with ash-brown hair and deep green eyes that looked almost kind. Almost. He wore simpler clothes, black on black, and moved with fluid precision as he approached her. "She's terrified," he observed softly. "Can you blame her? We must look like monsters." "We are monsters," said the fourth, emerging from the western case. This one had wild dark hair, sharp features, and eyes that shifted between gray and silver like mercury. His grin was feral, excited, and he was dressed in leather and steel that looked both ancient and somehow timeless. "Beautiful, immortal monsters who've just been freed by the sweetest blood I've smelled in 500 years. Aria finally found her voice. "Stay back. I have pepper spray." The silver-haired one tilted his head. "Pepper spray? How modern." He glanced at the others. "How long were we entombed?" "Long enough for the world to forget us, Nikolai," the one in crimson said. "Long enough for our kingdoms to fall to dust." His golden eyes returned to Aria. "What year is it, little one?" "I'm calling the police," Aria said, fumbling for her phone. But her hand, the one with the symbols, wouldn't cooperate. The marks were glowing now, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The kind-looking one, the one from the east, stepped forward slowly, hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "Please don't be afraid. My name is Kian. We won't hurt you. We can't actually. You've bound us." "Bound you?" "I didn't bind anything. I just cut myself on a stupid knife." "Not just any knife," Nikolai said, moving closer despite her attempts to shuffle away. "The Covenant blade. Forged in blood magic by the first which covens to control our kind. One human sacrifice, offered willingly or not, to bind 4 vampire lords in magical sleep. His cold eyes narrowed. But the magic was designed to be temporary. A blood descendant of the original caster could awaken us with their blood and... He grabbed her wrist, examining the symbols. Complete the binding. You're insane, Aria breathed. Vampires aren't real. This is some kind of prank, or I'm hallucinating from blood loss. The wild one, the one from the west, appeared beside her so fast she didn't see him move. One moment he was across the room, the next his face was inches from hers, inhaling deeply. Oh, you're very real, sweetheart. And so are we. I'm Lucian, and you smell absolutely divine. Get away from her, Lucian, Kian warned. You're making it worse. Making it worse? The one called Dante laughed again, that dangerous sound that made Aria's skin prickle. It's already worse. She's awakened us, which means the covenant is active. She's our bride, gentlemen. The one prophesied to unite our kingdoms or destroy us trying. Bride. Aria's voice came out as a squeak. I'm nobody's bride. I'm a graduate student with 70,000 in student loans and a cat named Professor Whiskers. Nikolai released her wrist but didn't step back. Nevertheless, the magic has chosen. The symbols on your skin are the marks of the 4 kingdoms. North, south, east, and west. You bear all our seals now. Aria looked down at her arm. He was right. 4 distinct symbols had formed, each one different but interconnected by flowing lines that looked almost like veins. This is impossible. And yet, Dante said, moving to circle her slowly, here we are. Awake after 5 centuries of darkness, called by your blood. Tell me, do you know your ancestry? Your family history? My mom's family is from Romania. Why does that matter? Romania, Kian said quietly. The heart of the old witch territories. You're descended from them, from the ones who bound us. That's why the covenant responded to your blood. The building groaned again and chunks of ceiling began to fall. Lucian grabbed Aria, pulling her against his chest as debris rained down around them. His body was solid, unnaturally strong and cold despite the heat of her panic. The building's collapsing, he said. The magic release is destabilizing the structure. We need to leave, Nikolai commanded. Now. All of us. I'm not going anywhere with you. Aria tried to pull away from Lucian, but his grip was iron. Dante appeared on her other side. I'm afraid you don't have a choice, beautiful. The covenant binds us together. Where you go we must follow. And where we go. He smiled, showing those terrible fangs. You're compelled to follow. It's survival magic. We're linked now, the 5 of us, until death or the breaking of the bond. How do I break it? Aria demanded. The 4 vampires exchanged glances and something cold settled in Aria's stomach at their expressions. Kian was the one who answered, his voice gentle but firm. You can't. Only we can, by releasing you from the covenant. All 4 of us must agree. Nikolai's smile was thin and sharp. And I can assure you, little bride, I have no intention of releasing the first real leverage we've had in 500 years. The ceiling gave way with a massive crack, and then they were moving, all of them together, faster than should have been possible. Aria's scream was lost in the rush of impossible speed as the 4 vampire kings carried her out of her normal life and into their eternal darkness. They stopped 3 blocks away on the roof of an office building. Aria collapsed the moment Lucian released her, her legs refusing to support her weight. She just moved faster than a car, faster than anything human, held in the arms of creatures that shouldn't exist. I'm going to be sick, she managed before leaning over and proving herself right. Kian knelt beside her, pulling her hair back with surprising gentleness. Deep breaths. The first experience with vampire speed is always disorienting. Disorienting? Aria wiped her mouth with shaking hands. I just watched the museum explode while being kidnapped by 4 dead guys who think I'm their bride. We're not dead, Dante corrected, examining his fingernails with casual disinterest. We're undead. There's a significant difference. Oh, well, that makes me feel so much better. Aria's voice cracked. Behind them, sirens wailed as emergency vehicles responded to the museum's collapse. Her museum. Her job. I'm going to be fired. They're going to think I destroyed everything. My supervisor trusted me and now you have bigger concerns than employment, Nikolai interrupted. He stood at the roof's edge, staring out at the city lights with an expression of cold calculation. This world has changed dramatically. Technology, buildings, lights everywhere. We'll need time to adapt, to understand what we've missed. We'll need resources, Dante added. Money, property, connections. Our old holdings are surely lost to time. Our kingdoms are gone, Kian said quietly. Everything we built, everyone we knew. All dust now. Lucian laughed, but there was an edge to it. Except each other. We're still here, still the same four bastards who couldn't agree on anything, which is how we ended up in those boxes in the first place. He looked at Aria with those mercury eyes. And now we're bound to a human girl who looks like she's about to pass out. I'm not passing out, Aria said, even though black spots danced in her vision. I'm going home. You can't keep me here. The bond says otherwise. Nikolai turned from the edge. Try to leave. Go ahead. Aria stood on shaky legs and walked toward the roof access door. 10 feet away from them, her chest tightened. At 15 feet, pain lanced through her like someone was squeezing her heart. At 20 feet, she gasped and fell to her knees, the symbols on her arm burning like brands. Kian was there instantly, helping her up. The Covenant maintains proximity. You can't be more than a certain distance from us. It's a safeguard designed to keep the bound parties together. How far? Aria asked through gritted teeth. Roughly 100 feet, he said apologetically. I'm sorry. I truly am. Sorry? Aria jerked away from him. You're sorry? You're all acting like this is normal. Like it's perfectly fine that I'm magically chained to 4 vampires I didn't even know existed an hour ago. It's not fine, Kian agreed. But it's reality now. For all of us. Then undo it. You said you could release me. So do it. Nikolai's laugh was cold. No. Why not? Because you're valuable, he stated simply. A blood descendant of the original which covens, bound to all 4 of us simultaneously. That's unprecedented. The original covenant only bound us in sleep. This. He gestured at her marked arm. This is an active binding. You're connected to our life force now. You can probably feel us, can't you? Like a pulse at the back of your mind. Aria froze. She could feel something for distinct presences that she'd assumed were just her panic. But now that he mentioned it, she could almost identify which presence belonged to which vampire. Nikolai was ice and calculation. Dante was fire and hunger. Kian was steady like deep water. And Lucian was chaos, electricity under her skin. What did you do to me? She whispered. We didn't do anything, Dante said. The Covenant did. Ancient magic, older than us, older than most civilizations. It recognized you as kin to its creators and it bound us all together. He moved closer and she noticed his movements were graceful, predatory. But Nikolai's right. This binding is different. Stronger. We can feel you too, your fear, your confusion. And something else. His eyes gleamed. Your attraction. I am not attracted to you. Liar, Lucian sing-songed. Your heart rate spikes when we get close. Your pupils dilate. Biology doesn't lie, sweetheart. Aria's face burned. That's called a fear response, you psychopath. Is it? Dante was suddenly in front of her, close enough that she could see the golden flecks in his amber eyes. Or is it something more? The Covenant doesn't just bind us physically. It connects us emotionally, spiritually. You were made for this, bred through generations to be compatible with our kind. That's insane. That's magic, he countered. His hand came up to cup her face, and his touch was cool against her feverish skin. And whether you believe it or not, you're ours now. Our bride. Our responsibility. Our property? Aria finished bitterly, jerking away from his touch. I was going to say salvation, Dante said softly. The prophecy claimed that a bride bound to all 4 kingdoms would either unite us or destroy us. After 500 years of darkness, I'm willing to see which it is. The prophecy was written by the same witches who imprisoned us, Nikolai said. I don't put much faith in it, but I do put faith in leverage. As long as we have you, we have a chance to rebuild. To reclaim what was taken from us. We're not tyrants anymore, Nikolai, Kian said sharply. That world is gone. We can't just claim dominion over humans. Can't we? Nikolai's smile was sharp. We're faster, stronger, immortal. What's changed except the technology? Humans are still sheep, still weak. That kind of thinking is what got us imprisoned in the first place, Kian argued. No, Lucian interrupted. What got us imprisoned was trusting the wrong human. A bride who pretended to love us and led us into a trap. His eyes fixed on Aria. Which is why this one stays close. Very close. Until we know we can trust her. You can't trust me because I don't want to be here. Aria shouted. I want my normal life back. I want to go home, feed my cat, finish my thesis on Byzantine art history, and pretend tonight never happened. Byzantine art, Dante murmured. I knew several Byzantine artists. Temperamental bunch. The iconography was quite limiting. You did not know Byzantine artists. I was born in 1492, darling. I absolutely knew Byzantine artists. The empire fell in 1453, but plenty of artists survived and scattered across Europe. I commissioned several pieces from them. He smiled at her expression. You're going to have to adjust your understanding of history. You're talking to people who lived it. The weight of that statement hit Aria like a physical blow. These weren't just vampires. They were ancient, had seen centuries pass, had lived through events she'd only read about in textbooks. How old are all of you? She asked quietly. Kian answered. I was turned in 1289. Nikolai in 1156. Dante, as he said, 1492. Lucian is the youngest, turned in 1521. We were imprisoned together in 1523, Nikolai added. A unified effort by the remaining witch covens who feared our power. They used the covenant blade and a willing sacrifice, a woman who each of us had loved, to trap us in magical stasis. She betrayed all four of you? Aria asked. Spectacularly, Lucian said with a bitter laugh. Eliana. Beautiful, clever Eliana who played us all like instruments. She made each of us believe she loved us alone, gathered our trust, and then slit her own throat over the covenant blade while we watched, helpless. His expression darkened. So forgive us if we're a bit cautious about our new bride. Aria's anger softened slightly. They'd been hurt, betrayed, locked away for 5 centuries. But that didn't excuse what they were doing to her now. I'm not Eliana, she said firmly. And I'm not going to betray you because I'm not yours to betray. I'm my own person. Are you? Nikolai asked. Look at your arm. The symbols were glowing brighter now, pulsing with each heartbeat. As Aria watched, thin lines of light began connecting her to each of the 4 vampires, visible threads of magic binding them together. The covenant is strengthening, Kian observed. It's adapting to our proximity, weaving us together more tightly. What does that mean? Aria demanded. Dante smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. It means running just became even more impossible, beautiful. Welcome to immortality. I'm not immortal, Aria protested, but even as she said it, she felt different. Stronger. Her vision seemed sharper, the sounds of the city clearer. What's happening to me? The bond is sharing our essence, Kian explained. You're not becoming a vampire, but you're not entirely human anymore either. Enhanced senses, increased strength, slower aging. The magic is trying to balance you with us, to make the connection sustainable. Sustainable? Aria's voice rose. I don't want to be sustainable. I want to be normal. Normal is over, sweetheart, Lucian said. Might as well embrace it. Think of the perks. You'll never get sick, never grow old. You'll be beautiful forever. I'm 26 years old with a studio apartment and $30 in my checking account. I don't care about being beautiful forever. I care about paying my rent. The 4 vampires stared at her in silence. Finally Dante spoke. $30? That's all? Yes. Welcome to modern economics. Student loans are a thing now, and museum archivists don't exactly make bank. Aria sat down hard on the roof's surface, suddenly exhausted. You want to know what my life was? Wake up, go to class, work the night shift, go home, sleep 4 hours, repeat. I was boring. Say, nobody special. You're descended from the most powerful witch bloodline in European history, Nikolai said. You were never nobody. I didn't know that. My mom never mentioned, oh by the way honey, your great-great-whatever grandmother used to trap vampires for fun. It was just family stories about Romania, recipes for sarmale, and warnings not to date musicians. Despite everything, Kian smiled. Your mother sounds wise. Musicians are trouble. Says the vampire, Aria muttered. Former musician actually, Kian admitted. I played the oud. Composed poetry. That's what I was doing when I was turned, performing at a sultan's court. Aria looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. Without the terror clouding her judgment, she could see he was attractive in an understated way. Kind eyes despite what he was. Did you choose it? Being a vampire? No, Kian said quietly. None of us did. We were made without consent, turned into monsters and expected to be grateful for the gift of eternity. He glanced at the others. That's something we all share. The circumstances differed, but the violation was the same. I was turned on a battlefield, Nikolai said, his voice flat. Dying from a sword wound. My sire thought a warrior would make a useful servant. I killed him 3 months later and took his territory. I was an artist's model, Dante added. The painter became obsessed, decided she wanted me forever. She didn't ask permission. His smile was sharp. I destroyed every painting she ever made of me after I killed her. Highway robbery gone wrong, Lucian said cheerfully. Turns out the nobleman I tried to rob was a vampire. He thought my audacity was entertaining, so instead of killing me, he turned me and made me watch him slaughter my entire gang. Good times. The casual way they discussed murder made Aria's stomach turn. You've all killed people. Many people, Nikolai confirmed. We're apex predators. It's our nature. And now I'm bound to you, Aria said hollowly. To murderers. We prefer to think of ourselves as survivors, Dante said. But yes, if it makes you feel better to judge us, go ahead. We've had centuries to make peace with what we are. Do you still kill? Aria asked. Do you have to? Kian answered. We need blood to survive. Whether we kill to get it is a choice. I haven't killed a human for feeding in over 200 years. There are alternatives now, I assume. Hospitals, blood banks. Blood banks, Lucian repeated. Convenient. Stealing from hospitals would be easier than hunting. We're not stealing from hospitals, Kian said firmly. We'll find ethical ways to feed. Ethical vampires, Nikolai scoffed. Still weak, Kian. Still pretending we're something we're not. I'm not pretending anything. I'm choosing to have standards. Standards are for those who can afford them. Stop, Aria interrupted. Just stop. You're talking about drinking human blood like it's a grocery shopping debate. This is insane. All of this is insane. She stood up, pacing within the limited range the bond allowed. I need to think. I need to figure out what to do. There's nothing to figure out, Nikolai said. The bond is permanent unless we all agree to release you. I won't. Therefore you're staying with us. Why? Aria spun to face him. Why won't you release me? What do you possibly gain from keeping me prisoner? You're not a prisoner, he corrected. You're a bride. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Nikolai moved toward her with that supernatural speed, stopping just inches away. Up close, his cold blue eyes were almost hypnotic. You want to know why? Because you're leverage. Because you're power. Because in this new world we've woken into, we have nothing. No armies, no kingdoms, no allies. But we have you, a living connection to the magic that bound us. The covens may be gone, but their descendants remain, scattered across the world. With you we can find them. Use them. Use them for what? To rebuild, he said simply. To reclaim what we lost. I won't help you hurt people. You won't have a choice, Nikolai said coldly. The bond compels cooperation. The longer we're connected, the more you'll want to please us to help us. It's part of the magic's design. You're lying, Aria said, but fear crept into her voice. He's not, Kian said reluctantly. The bride bond is designed to create loyalty, to make the bride invested in her king's success. It's a survival mechanism, but it takes time to fully develop. Right now you can still think independently, still resist. Later. He trailed off. Later I'll be a puppet, Aria finished. Later you'll be one of us, Dante corrected. You'll understand our needs, our goals. You'll want what we want. That's brainwashing. That's magic, Lucian said. And honestly, would it be so bad? Fighting this seems exhausting. Just give in now, let the bond do its work. We'll take care of you, give you everything you need. Except freedom, Aria said bitterly. Freedom is overrated, Lucian replied. I was free once. Starving, desperate, stealing to survive. Then I became this, and yes, I lost some freedoms, but I gained so much more. Power. Time. Experiences beyond mortal imagination. He circled her slowly. You're looking at this wrong. You're not losing your life. You're gaining ours. 4 immortal beings bound to protect you, provide for you, care for you. Whether I want it or not. Whether you want it or not, he agreed cheerfully. Aria felt tears prick her eyes. This isn't fair. No, Kian said gently. It's not. But life rarely is, and death even less so. We're all victims of the covenant, Aria. All 5 of us. The difference is we've had centuries to accept it. You've had an hour. I won't accept it, Aria said, but her voice lacked conviction. You will, Nikolai said with certainty. Because you're intelligent enough to recognize inevitability. This is your life now. The sooner you adapt, the easier it will be. A phone rang. Aria's phone, still somehow in her pocket despite everything. She pulled it out with shaking hands. Her roommate's name flashed on the screen. "Don't answer it," Dante said immediately. "She'll worry if I don't. She'll call the police." "Let her," Nikolai said. "I can't just disappear. People will look for me. My professors, my friends, my family will eventually stop looking," Nikolai interrupted. "They always do." Aria stared at the phone as it rang. Her normal life, represented by that small glowing screen. Everything she'd worked for, everyone she cared about, all of it on the other side of that call. And she couldn't answer it. Couldn't explain where she was or what had happened because she barely understood it herself. The ringing stopped. A moment later, a text appeared. "Where are you? Museum is on the news. They're saying explosion. Are you okay?" "Let me text her back," Aria pleaded. "Please. Just to tell her I'm safe." The four vampires exchanged glances. Finally, Kian nodded. "Keep it brief. Nothing about us." With trembling fingers, Aria typed. "I'm okay. Wasn't in the building when it happened. Staying with friends tonight. We'll call tomorrow." She hit send before anyone could stop her, then watched the message deliver. A lie. The first of what she suspected would be many. "Good girl," Dante murmured, and the approval in his voice made something twist in her chest. Horror at the phrase, but also, and this terrified her, a flicker of pleasure at having pleased him. The bond was already working. Drop a comment below telling us which vampire king is your favorite so far. Team Nikolai, Dante, Kian, or Lucian? "We need to find shelter," Kian said, breaking the moment. "Somewhere safe where we can rest and plan our next moves." "I know a place," Lucian said. "Old safe house from before. If the building still stands, the basement should be intact. We stored gold there, contingency funds." "That was 500 years ago," Dante pointed out. "Gold doesn't expire, Dante. Unlike your fashion sense." Despite everything, Aria almost laughed. These ancient, terrifying vampires bickered like siblings. It was absurd and horrible and somehow almost human. "Take me there," Nikolai commanded. "We need resources before dawn." "Dawn?" Aria asked. "I thought vampires could walk in daylight in modern stories." "Modern stories are fiction," Nikolai said. "Sunlight will kill us within minutes. We have perhaps 3 hours before sunrise. Not enough time to secure proper shelter if the safe house is compromised." "Then we'd better move fast," Lucian said, and before Aria could protest, he swept her into his arms again. The safe house was a crumbling mansion on the outskirts of the city, hidden behind overgrown gardens and a rusted iron gate. Lucian kicked the gate open effortlessly, and they moved through the tangled vegetation like ghosts. The house itself looked abandoned, windows broken, roof partially collapsed. "This is your safe house?" Aria asked doubtfully. "The basement," Lucian reminded her. He led them around to the back where ancient stone steps descended into darkness. The door at the bottom was solid iron, covered in symbols similar to those now marking Aria's arm. "Blood lock. Only vampire blood opens it." He bit his own wrist without hesitation, dark blood welling up, and pressed it against the door. The symbols glowed, the lock clicked, and the door swung open on surprisingly smooth hinges. Inside, the basement was pristine. Completely untouched by time, preserved by the same magic that had kept the vampires in stasis. Furniture from centuries past sat arranged in a sitting room. Tapestries hung on stone walls. And against the far wall, four coffins sat in a neat row. "You've got to be kidding me," Aria said. "What?" Lucian looked genuinely confused. "Coffins? Really? That's so cliché." "They're comfortable," Kian said defensively. "And practical. Light, tight, secure." "They're creepy." "You'll get used to them," Dante said, moving to examine the space. He pulled back a tapestry to reveal a hidden alcove. "The gold is still here. Probably worth a fortune now." He extracted several bars of gold, each one stamped with unfamiliar symbols. "We can sell these, establish ourselves financially." "How do you sell 500-year-old gold bars without raising questions?" Aria asked. "Carefully," Nikolai said. "But that's tomorrow's problem. Tonight, we need to discuss our immediate situation." He turned to Aria. "You need sleep. Humans require it, even enhanced ones." "I'm not sleeping here. Not with 4 vampires." "You don't have a choice," Nikolai reminded her. "The bond? Remember? Then I'll sleep in a corner. Awake. Where I can see all of you." "Paranoid," Lucian observed. "I like it. Shows survival instinct." Kian moved to a chest in the corner and extracted blankets that should have been moth-eaten but looked freshly made. Here. The couch is reasonably comfortable. We won't harm you, Aria. That much I can promise. Why should I believe you? Because you're too valuable, Dante said bluntly. Harming you harms the bond, which harms us. We need you healthy and cooperative. Besides, his smile turned predatory, if we wanted to hurt you we would have done it already. The logic was sound even if it wasn't comforting. Aria took the blankets and settled onto the ancient couch, which was surprisingly comfortable. The 4 vampires didn't move to their coffins. Instead, they positioned themselves around the room, clearly intending to watch her. This isn't creepy at all, Aria muttered. We're not human, Nikolai said. Our customs are different. Your customs involve staring at people while they sleep. We're ensuring your safety, he corrected. This location is secure, but we've been gone 5 centuries. We don't know what threats exist in this new world. One of us will always be watching. Great. Vampire babysitters. Aria pulled the blanket over herself and closed her eyes, knowing sleep would be impossible. But the exhaustion of the night hit her suddenly, and despite her fear, her eyes grew heavy. She dreamed of blood and symbols, of 4 faces hovering over her, of being pulled in 4 different directions until she thought she'd tear apart. She dreamed of a woman with dark hair and darker eyes, smiling as she slit her own throat, whispering, "You cannot escape what you were made for." Aria woke with a gasp. Kian was beside her instantly. Nightmare? How long was I asleep? 2 hours. It's almost dawn. He offered her a bottle of water. Found these in the preservation spell. Still good. Aria took the water gratefully, her throat dry. I dreamed about her. Eliana. The woman who betrayed you. Kian's expression darkened. The bond sometimes shares memories. We all carry Eliana with us in different ways. Did you love her? I thought I did, Kian admitted. We all did. She was remarkable, beautiful, intelligent. She knew exactly what to say to each of us, how to make us feel understood. It was only after the trap was sprung that we realized none of it was real. She'd been playing us from the beginning. Why did she do it? The covens feared us. 4 vampire lords, each controlling vast territories, each growing more powerful. They believed we'd eventually turn the entire continent into feeding grounds. Eliana volunteered to be their weapon. She spent 5 years gaining our trust, making us care for her, and then she used that love to destroy us. That's horrible. Yes, Kian agreed. It was. But it was also effective. We were arrogant, believed ourselves untouchable. She taught us otherwise. He paused. That's why Nikolai is so harsh with you. He's terrified of being vulnerable again. He doesn't seem terrified of anything. He's better at hiding it than the rest of us. But I can feel him through the bond just as I can feel you. He's afraid you'll be another Eliana. That you'll gain our trust and destroy us when we're weakest. I'm not her, Aria said firmly. And I'm not trying to destroy anyone. I just want my life back. I know, Kian said softly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. If I could release you without the others' consent, I would. Would you? Aria studied his face. Really? Kian hesitated. I want to believe I would. But the bond makes things complicated. I can feel you now, your fear and confusion, but also your strength. Your determination. And I find myself wanting to protect that, to keep you close. Is that the magic compelling me or genuine emotion? I don't know anymore. Before Aria could respond, Lucian appeared. Dawn in 15 minutes. We need to secure the space. The 4 vampires moved with practiced efficiency, checking the room for any potential light leaks. Aria watched them work, noting how they coordinated without speaking, how they seemed to anticipate each other's movements. Centuries together had made them a unit, despite their obvious conflicts. What happens to me during the day? Aria asked. Do I stay down here with you? Unless you want to feel like your heart is being ripped from your chest, Dante said. The bond won't let you go far, remember? And we'll be dead to the world once the sun rises. True death sleep. We won't wake until sunset no matter what happens. So I'm trapped down here for 12 hours. There are books, Kian offered, gesturing to a bookshelf. And the preservation spell kept them readable. Medieval poetry, philosophy, histories written by people who lived them. How comforting, Aria said dryly. Nikolai approached, his expression unreadable. A word before we sleep. Aria tensed but nodded. He led her to the far corner of the room, out of easy earshot of the others. You're planning to escape, he said. It wasn't a question. Wouldn't you? Yes, he admitted. Which is why I'm telling you now, don't. The bond will stop you physically, but there are other consequences you're not aware of. Like what? The covenant is designed to punish betrayal. If you make a genuine attempt to escape or harm us, the magic will retaliate against you. It's a safeguard built into the original spell. His cold eyes bore into hers. I've seen what it does. The last bride who tried to break free. The magic burned her from the inside out. She died screaming. You're lying, Aria whispered. I wish I were. But the covenant doesn't distinguish between Eliana's intentional betrayal and your desperate need for freedom. Any act it perceives as harmful to the bond will be punished. So whatever you're planning, whatever you think you can do while we sleep, don't. Why are you telling me this? Nikolai's expression softened slightly. Because despite what you think, I don't want you dead. You're valuable alive. And he paused, seeming to struggle with the words. The bond is making me care whether you suffer. I find that irritating, but I can't seem to stop it. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me, Aria said sarcastically. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. I'm not here to romance you. I'm here to keep you alive. Remember what I said. He turned and walked toward his coffin. One by one, the other vampires settled into their resting places. Dante blew her a kiss before closing his lid. Lucian winked. Kian gave her a gentle, apologetic look. Then they were still, and Aria was alone. She waited 5 minutes, then 10 before cautiously approaching Nikolai's coffin. She pressed her ear against it but heard nothing. No breathing, no heartbeat. They really were dead during the day. She could try to escape. But Nikolai's warning echoed in her mind. And beneath that, she felt the bond, those 4 presences still there even in death's sleep, connected to her by invisible threads. If she tried to run, would the magic really kill her? She didn't want to find out. Instead, Aria explored the basement. She found clothes in an armoire, old-fashioned but preserved perfectly. She found weapons mounted on the walls, swords and daggers with the same symbols as the covenant blade. She found journals written in languages she couldn't read, and she found a mirror. When she looked at her reflection, she barely recognized herself. Her eyes were brighter, more vivid. Her skin seemed to glow slightly. The symbols on her arm pulsed with faint light, and when she concentrated, she could see those threads of magic extending from her toward the 4 coffins. She was changing. Becoming something other than human. And she had no idea how to stop it. Aria sank to the floor, her back against the wall, and finally let herself cry. Silent tears for her lost life, her lost freedom, her lost future. She cried until she had nothing left, until exhaustion claimed her again. When she woke, it was to the sound of coffin lids opening and the awareness that night had fallen again. Good evening, beautiful, Dante said, stretching like a cat. Did you miss us? Not even a little bit, Aria lied, but through the bond she felt his amusement. He knew she was lying. They all did. The connection was growing stronger, making it harder to hide her true feelings. This was going to be impossible. If you're on Team Kian for being the most understanding, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video. We need to feed, Lucian announced. And we need to figure out how this modern world works. Technology, society, all of it. I can help with that, Aria found herself saying. Then she froze. Why did I offer to help you? The bond? Kian said gently. It's encouraging cooperation. I don't want to cooperate. But you will, Nikolai said, emerging from his coffin looking as pristine as if he'd actually slept. Because fighting it will only make you miserable. Accept your role, Aria. Life will be much simpler. I don't want simple. I want free. Dante laughed. Freedom is an illusion. We're all bound by something, whether it's magic or mortality or the choices we've made. At least your cage comes with immortal protectors and unlimited resources. My cage, Aria repeated bitterly. Our bond, he corrected. Choose better words. They emerged from the basement into full darkness. The city glowed in the distance, a sprawl of lights that mesmerized the 4 vampires. They stood in the overgrown garden, staring at the skyline like children seeing magic for the first time. It's beautiful, Kian breathed. All those lights. When we were imprisoned, candles and torches were the brightest things in the night. Electricity, Aria explained. Power lines run throughout the city. Almost everything runs on electricity now. Show us, Dante demanded, his eyes gleaming with fascination. Show us this new world. Against her better judgment, Aria found herself wanting to. The bond pulsed with their curiosity, and she felt it like an itch beneath her skin. Fine. But we need to be careful. You can't just walk around attacking people. We're not animals, Nikolai said coldly. You're vampires who just said you need to feed. There are blood banks, Kian reminded him. Aria mentioned them yesterday. Breaking into a hospital seems risky on our first night, Lucian pointed out. Too many cameras, security. We need to understand the surveillance systems first. Cameras? Dante asked. Devices that record images and movement, Aria explained. They're everywhere. Streets, buildings, stores. If you do anything suspicious, you'll be recorded and the police will come looking for you. Police? Nikolai mused. Law enforcement. They had constables and sheriffs in our time, but I assume these are more organized. Much more. They have guns which can kill you if they shoot you enough times in the head or heart. They have cars that go faster than you can run. They have databases that can identify you from your face. Aria paused. Actually, that might work in your favor. You've been dead for 500 years. You won't be in any system. Dead, Lucian laughed. Technically true. So we're ghosts in this new world. No identity, no history, no proof we exist. Which makes establishing ourselves more complicated, Nikolai said. We need documentation. Identities. Bank accounts. I know someone, Aria heard herself say, then immediately regretted it. No. Never mind. Who? Dante moved closer, his amber eyes intense. A friend from school. He's a computer science major, does freelance work on the side. Some of it isn't exactly legal. Fake IDs, hacking, that kind of thing. Aria shook her head. But I can't bring him into this. It's too dangerous. We won't hurt him, Kian promised. We just need his services. We can pay well. With 500-year-old gold bars? That won't raise questions at all. Then we sell them properly first, Nikolai said. To collectors, antiquities dealers. People who won't ask too many questions if the price is right. You're talking about building entire fake lives, Aria said. That takes time, resources, connections. We have time, Dante said. We have eternity. But resources and connections. He smiled at her. That's where you come in, beautiful. You're our bridge to this world. Our guide. Our key to everything we need. The bond flared with their need, their desperation masked as confidence. And beneath it, Aria felt something else. They were afraid. 4 ancient vampires, terrified of the world they'd woken into. Everything they'd known was gone, and they were clinging to her because she was the only familiar thing they had, the only connection to this strange new reality that it didn't excuse what they were doing to her. But it made them slightly less monstrous. Slightly more human. I'll help you, Aria said quietly. But on one condition. You're not in a position to make demands, Nikolai said. Actually, I am. You need me. You just admitted it. So here's my condition. You don't hurt anyone. You don't kill to feed. You don't use your powers to manipulate or harm innocent people. You want to exist in this world? You do it without leaving a trail of bodies. The 4 vampires exchanged glances. Through the bond, Aria felt their conflict. Nikolai's resistance, viewing her demand as weakness. Dante's amusement at her audacity. Kian's relief that she was asking for something he already wanted. Lucian's indifference as long as he got what he needed. Agreed, Kian said first. You can't speak for all of us, Nikolai snapped. I just did. Aria's right. This world is different. We can't operate the way we did before. We'll be discovered, hunted. We need to adapt. Kian turned to the others. We survived 5 centuries of darkness. We can survive being civilized. Civilized? Lucian snorted. That's rich coming from you, Kian. You who spent a century drowning your guilt in philosophy while the rest of us actually built kingdoms. Kingdoms that fell, Kian countered. Kingdoms that were destroyed because we couldn't control our nature. Maybe it's time to try something different. I agree with Kian, Dante said, surprising everyone. Not because I've grown a conscience, but because I'm practical. Dead humans attract attention. Attention brings hunters. Hunters bring stakes and fire and very unpleasant deaths. I'd rather enjoy my second chance at immortality than spend it running from mobs with torches. Or whatever the modern equivalent is. Assault rifles, Aria supplied. And flamethrowers. Much more efficient than torches. See, definitely want to avoid those. Dante looked at Nikolai. What do you say? Can you rein in your control issues long enough to let us try this her way? Nikolai's jaw tightened. Fine. No unnecessary killing. But if we're threatened, if hunters come for us, all bets are off. Fair enough, Aria agreed, even though the thought of them killing anyone made her sick. But self-defense she could rationalize. Mass murder she couldn't. Now then, Lucian said, rubbing his hands together. About that feeding problem. I'm starving, and unless someone has a better idea, I vote we find some criminals. Drug dealers, murderers, people the world won't miss. We feed, we do society a favor, everyone wins. That's still killing, Aria protested. That's justice, Lucian countered. Come on, sweetheart. Surely you can't object to us removing a few rapists and murderers from the world. Aria wanted to argue, but she couldn't. The logic was sound, even if the morality was questionable. How would you even find them? We can smell violence, Dante explained. Blood spilled in anger has a distinct scent. We can track it, follow it to its source. It's how we used to hunt in the old days, seeking out battlefields and execution grounds. That's disturbing. That's survival, he corrected. Don't judge us for being what we are, Aria. We didn't choose this nature. Then choose to rise above it, she challenged. We're trying, Kian said softly. Having you here, feeling your morality through the bond, it's making us want to try. That's more than we've done in centuries. They moved through the city streets, Aria leading the way while the 4 vampires followed, their eyes constantly moving, taking in everything. Cars fascinated them. Cell phones made them suspicious. The sheer number of people out at night amazed them. In our time, cities went dark after sunset, Dante observed. Only the foolish or desperate ventured out. Now look at them walking around like they own the night. They do, Aria said. Humans conquered the night with electricity and technology. It's not your domain anymore. Isn't it? Lucian's smile was sharp. We move among them and they don't even notice. We're apex predators in sheep's clothing. The night is still ours, they just don't know it. A scream cut through the air. All 4 vampires' heads snapped toward the sound, their expressions predatory. Before Aria could stop them, they were moving, faster than human eyes could track. She ran after them, the bond pulling her along, and found them in an alley. A woman was backed against a wall, a man with a knife advancing on her. He was demanding her purse, his words slurred with drugs or alcohol. The woman was crying, terrified. The man never saw Lucian coming. One moment he was threatening her, the next he was lifted off his feet, Lucian's hand around his throat. The knife clattered to the ground. Go, Kian told the woman gently, using that supernatural charm that made his voice irresistible. Go home. You were never here. You saw nothing. The woman blinked, nodded slowly, and walked away as if in a trance, her fear evaporating like morning mist. Compulsion, Aria realized. You can control minds. To an extent, Kian confirmed. Simple commands, memory alterations. Nothing complex. But useful for situations like this. Lucian held the struggling mugger effortlessly. So, gentlemen, ladies, do we feed or do we let this piece of human garbage go? He attacked someone, Dante said. That violates Aria's rule about innocence. I said no unnecessary killing, Aria protested. This is still murder. Is it? Nikolai approached the mugger, his cold eyes assessing. This man has killed before. I can smell death on him, recent and old. 3 victims at least, maybe more. Should we let him go to kill again? Aria's stomach churned. Call the police. Let the justice system handle it. The justice system, Lucian laughed. And if he gets out on bail? If he plea bargains? If he's released in a few years to do this again? Your modern world may have technology, but human nature hasn't changed. Evil still exists, and sometimes the only way to stop it is to end it. Please, the mugger gasped. Please, I'll turn myself in. I'll confess. Just don't kill me. See, Aria said. He's willing to face justice. He's willing to say anything to survive, Nikolai corrected. The moment we release him, he'll run. He'll never see the inside of a courtroom. You don't know that. Yes, Nikolai said quietly, I do. I've seen thousands of men like him across centuries. I know what he is, what he'll do. He looked at Aria. But you want us to be better. So fine. We'll let him go. Lucian dropped the man, who collapsed to the ground gasping. Go, Nikolai told him. But know this, we'll be watching. If you hurt anyone else, if you so much as think about hurting anyone else, we'll find you. And next time there won't be mercy. Do you understand? The man nodded frantically, then scrambled to his feet and ran, disappearing into the night. Happy? Nikolai asked Aria. No, she admitted. Because you're probably right. He probably won't change. But you wanted us to try, Kian said. And we did. That's progress, Aria. Small, frustrating progress, but progress nonetheless. We still need to feed, Dante reminded them. And preferably before I start looking at our guide as an option. Aria's heart skipped a beat. Relax, Dante said, though his eyes lingered on her throat. The bond prevents us from feeding on you without consent. You're safe. Frustrated, terrified, and bound to us for eternity, but safe. They found a blood bank 2 miles away, a small medical facility on the edge of downtown. The building was dark, closed for the night, with only minimal security lighting. This feels wrong, Aria said as they approached. Stealing always does, Lucian agreed cheerfully. That's what makes it fun. How are you even going to get in? There are alarms, cameras, locks. Dante examined the building's entrance. Cameras can be disabled. Alarms can be bypassed. And locks. He placed his hand on the door and Aria heard something crack inside. Locks are merely suggestions. They move through the darkened building like shadows. Kian disabled the security cameras with casual efficiency, his centuries of experience evident in every movement. Nikolai located the blood storage within minutes, his enhanced senses cutting through walls and locked doors like they didn't exist. The refrigerated storage room was filled with labeled bags of blood, organized by type. The vampires stared at them like children in a candy store. Type O negative, Kian read. Universal donor. AB positive. This is remarkable. They just collect it, store it, categorize it. For medical emergencies, Aria explained. Surgeries, accidents, people who need transfusions to survive. You're stealing from people who might die without it. The words hit harder than she'd intended. Through the bond, she felt their shame, quickly masked, but there nonetheless. We'll take only what's close to expiration, Kian decided. Blood has a shelf life. Some of these bags will be discarded in days anyway. We're not monsters, Aria. Not completely. They fed efficiently, each vampire consuming several bags. Aria looked away, unable to watch. The sound was disturbing enough, the soft puncturing of plastic and the quiet satisfaction that hummed through the bond. When they finished, Dante sighed contentedly. Not as satisfying as fresh, but it'll do. Takes the edge off at least. We should go, Nikolai said. Security might change shifts, and I'd rather not test our compulsion abilities on armed guards. They left the way they came, leaving minimal evidence of their intrusion. Outside, Aria felt the bond settle slightly, the vampire's hunger satiated for now. How often do you need to feed? She asked. Every few days, Kian answered. More often if we use our powers extensively. Less if we're resting. So this is my life now. Helping you break into blood banks. Or we could set up a legitimate supply, Dante suggested. Once we have identities and resources. Private blood delivery services exist, don't they? For medical research. They do, Aria admitted. But they require licenses, documentation, proof of legitimate need. Then we'll acquire those things, Nikolai said. This is temporary. Everything is temporary until we establish ourselves properly. He looked at Aria. You mentioned a friend who could help with identities. It's time to make that introduction. Aria's stomach sank. It's 3 a.m. Then we'll wait until reasonable hours, Kian said. In the meantime, we need to discuss our long-term strategy. They returned to the safe house as dawn approached. This time, Aria felt the pull of the bond as the sun neared the horizon, a growing urgency that made the vampires move faster, their usual grace replaced by barely controlled panic. 5 minutes, Dante said tersely as they descended into the basement. The sun is rising. The 4 vampires practically dove into their coffins. Aria stood in the center of the room, watching them seal themselves away from the deadly light above. Within seconds they were gone, that presence in her mind dimming to almost nothing. She was alone again. Aria pulled out her phone. 17 missed calls from her roommate. 32 texts. Messages from her professors asking about the museum incident. An email from the museum director asking her to call immediately. Her life was falling apart, and she couldn't even explain why. She typed a message to her roommate. I know you're worried. I'm safe. Something came up with family. Going to be out of town for a while. Will explain when I can. Please don't worry. Feet Professor Whiskers for me? The response came immediately. It's 5 a.m. Where are you? What family? Your mom's in Romania and you haven't talked to her in months. This isn't like you. Aria stared at the message, tears blurring her vision. I can't explain right now. Please trust me. I'm okay. You're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. I have to go. She turned off her phone before her roommate could respond. Before the questions became too much, before she broke down and tried to explain the unexplainable, the bond pulsed softly, those four presences sleeping but still connected to her. She could feel them even in death sleep, their existence twined with hers in ways that terrified her. Aria explored the basement more thoroughly in the daylight hours. She found a bathroom, surprisingly modern, probably updated right before the vampires were imprisoned. She found more clothes, more books, more evidence of lives interrupted 500 years ago, and she found a journal tucked behind a loose stone in the wall. The writing was old, the language archaic, but readable. Eliana's journal. It had to be. The entries detailed her mission, her orders from the witch covens, her systematic seduction of 4 vampire lords. But the later entries told a different story. I am lost, one entry read. The mission was clear. Gain their trust, trap them, save humanity from their evil. But Nikolai is not evil. Cold, yes. Ruthless, certainly. But he protects his people, maintains order, prevents chaos. Is that evil? Another entry, Dante confessed his loneliness to me tonight. Centuries of existence and he's never known genuine connection, only transactions. He creates beauty because it's the only way he knows to touch something real. How can I destroy someone so desperate for meaning? And another, Kian saved a child today. A human child who wandered into vampire territory. He could have fed, could have killed. Instead, he returned the child safely to her parents and asked nothing in return. He does this often, I've learned. Quiet acts of kindness he thinks no one notices. The final entry was dated the night of the betrayal. I have failed everyone. The covens, the vampires, myself. I thought I was saving the world from monsters, but I've fallen in love with all 4 of them. Each one different, each one precious. And tonight I must destroy them because I gave my word, because I signed the covenant, because there is no other way. They will hate me. They should hate me. I hate myself. But perhaps in their prison they will be safe. Safe from the hunters, safe from the wars, safe from themselves. And perhaps someday someone will free them into a kinder world. Someone who can love them the way I cannot. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. The journal ended there. Aria sat with the book in her lap, her hands shaking. Eliana hadn't been a heartless manipulator. She'd been a woman torn between duty and love, who'd made an impossible choice and paid for it with her life. The vampires didn't know. They thought they'd been betrayed by someone who felt nothing for them. But Eliana had loved them. Had died loving them. Should she tell them? Would it change anything? Through the bond she felt nothing. They slept their death sleep, unaware of her discovery, unaware that the woman they'd hated for 5 centuries had actually sacrificed everything to save them. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. This story is just getting started. Aria returned the journal to its hiding place. Some truths were too complicated to share before she understood them herself. And right now, she barely understood anything. She slept fitfully through the day, dreaming of a dark-haired woman whispering apologies, of 4 faces twisted in betrayal and rage, of blood and magic and choices that destroyed everyone involved. When sunset came and the coffins opened, the vampires emerged to find Aria sitting on the couch, her expression unreadable. You look troubled, Kian observed. I am troubled, Aria said. I'm bound to 4 vampires, my life is destroyed, and I'm an accomplice to blood bank theft. Trouble doesn't begin to cover it. Fair point, Lucian conceded. So what's the plan for tonight? Aria took a deep breath. Tonight, I introduce you to my friend Marcus. He can create your new identities. But first, you need to look less like you walked out of a historical reenactment. We need to get you modern clothes, teach you how to use phones, help you blend in. A shopping trip, Dante said with amusement. How domestic. Welcome to the 21st century, Aria said. Where vampire lords need credit cards and social media profiles to survive. The shopping mall was overwhelming for the vampires. Bright lights, hundreds of people, music blaring from every store. They moved through the crowd like predators in a zoo, fascinated and disturbed in equal measure. This many humans in one place, Nikolai murmured. It's a feeding ground. It's a gap, Aria corrected. And you're not feeding on anyone. We're buying genes. Genes? Dante repeated, examining a pair with skepticism. These look like peasant clothes. Everyone wears them now. Rich, poor doesn't matter. They're practical. Over the next hour, Aria transformed them. Modern shirts, dark jeans, leather jackets. They fought her on every choice until she reminded them that blending in was the goal. When they finally emerged from the dressing rooms, they looked almost normal. Dangerously attractive, but normal. I look ridiculous, Nikolai said, examining his reflection. You look hot, Aria corrected, then immediately regretted it. Through the bond, she felt their amusement at her slip. Hot. Dante's smile was wicked. Is that modern language for attractive? Shut up. Let's go. They met Marcus in a coffee shop near campus. He was exactly as Aria remembered. Unkempt hair, tired eyes, laptop perpetually open. He looked up when they approached, his expression shifting from relief to confusion. Aria, where have you been? Your roommate is losing her mind. His eyes traveled to the four men behind her. And who are your friends? Family, Aria said quickly. From Romania. They're visiting unexpectedly. Marcus studied them with the analytical eye of someone who spent too much time online. Your family looks like they stepped out of a CW show. No offense. None taken, Kian said smoothly, extending his hand. I'm Kian. These are my brothers, Nikolai, Dante, and Lucian. Marcus shook hands with each of them, wincing slightly at their cold grip. You guys sick? You're freezing. Circulation problems, Dante said. Family condition. Right. Marcus turned back to Aria. So what's the emergency? Your text said you needed my help urgently. We need identities, Aria said quietly. Complete backgrounds. Birth certificates, social security numbers, driver's licenses, everything. Marcus's eyes widened. That's seriously illegal, Aria. I do fake IDs for college kids, not full identity fabrication. That's federal crime territory. We'll pay, Nikolai said. Significantly. How significantly? Dante placed a small gold bar on the table. Marcus stared at it, then at them, then back at the gold. Is that real? 15th century, Dante confirmed. Probably worth 50,000 at least to the right buyer. It's yours if you help us. Marcus swallowed hard. 50,000. Four identities. Complete identities, Nikolai emphasized. That will withstand serious scrutiny. We need to exist in this world legally. Why? Marcus asked. What are you running from? That's not your concern, Nikolai said coldly. It is if I'm risking federal prison. Marcus looked at Aria. What's really going on? And don't tell me they're just visiting family. I'm not an idiot. Aria felt the bond pulse with warning. The vampires wanted her to lie, to protect their secret. But Marcus deserved better than lies. They're in witness protection, she heard herself say. The lie came easily, smoothly. From overseas. There were complications with their original documents. They need clean identities to stay safe. It was close enough to the truth that the bond didn't rebel. And Marcus, bless him, bought it. Witness protection. Jesus, Aria. What did you get yourself into? He looked at the gold bar again. This is seriously dangerous. We're aware, Kian said gently. But we have no other options. Please. We need this. Marcus studied them for a long moment. Then he sighed and pocketed the gold. Fine. But this is the only time. After this, we're square and you never contact me about anything illegal again. Agreed, Aria said. I'll need photos, basic information, and 48 hours. Meet me here same time in 2 days. They left the coffee shop as dawn approached again. The vampires were tense, feeling the sun's approach. They made it back to the safe house with minutes to spare. That went well, Lucian said as they descended to the basement. Your friend is useful. He's not my friend anymore, Aria said bitterly. I just made him an accomplice. If you get caught, he goes to prison too. Then we won't get caught, Nikolai said simply. Aria wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. She collapsed on the couch as the vampires settled into their coffins. But before Kian closed his lid, he paused. Thank you, he said, for helping us. I know you don't want to be here, but you're doing it anyway. That takes courage. I don't have a choice, Aria reminded him. You have more choice than you think, he said softly. You could resist at every turn, make this impossible for all of us. But you're not. You're adapting, helping, finding solutions. That's not the bond compelling you. That's you choosing to survive with grace. Before she could respond, he closed the coffin lid. Aria sat in the darkness, his words echoing in her mind. Was she choosing this? Or was the bond so subtle that she couldn't tell the difference anymore? The days blurred together. They collected their new identities from Marcus. Nikolai became a venture capitalist. Dante an art dealer. Kian a professor. Lucian a security consultant. All carefully crafted backgrounds that explained their knowledge and resources while hiding their true nature. They sold the gold through private collectors, establishing bank accounts and credit histories. They rented a penthouse apartment downtown, somewhere modern with blackout curtains and multiple escape routes. And through it all, Aria felt herself changing. The bond grew stronger daily, making their emotions her emotions, their needs her needs. She found herself thinking of them less as captors and more as something else. Something she didn't have words for. One night, 3 weeks after the awakening, Nikolai found her on the penthouse balcony, staring at the city lights. "You're unhappy," he observed. "I miss my life," Aria admitted. "My classes, my routine, my freedom." "You could go back," he said. "To your classes at least. We've established ourselves enough. You could return to school. With 4 vampire shadows following me everywhere? That seems practical. We can maintain distance. 100 feet is more than enough space for you to attend classes, see friends." He paused. "I know you think I want to control every aspect of your existence. But that's not true. I want you functional, Aria. Miserable captives make poor allies. So this is about utility?" "No," he said quietly. "It's about the fact that your sadness bleeds through the bond and makes me feel things I haven't felt in centuries. Guilt. Regret. Concern." He met her eyes. "You're changing us, Aria. Just as we're changing you. I don't know if that's the magic or something more, but it's happening whether we want it to or not." Before Aria could respond, Dante appeared with champagne and glasses. "We're celebrating. Our first successful month in the modern world without killing anyone or being discovered. That deserves acknowledgement." Lucian and Kian joined them, and suddenly the balcony felt small, intimate. The 4 vampires surrounded her, but for the first time, it didn't feel like a cage. It felt like protection. Like belonging. "To survival," Dante toasted. "To adaptation," Kian added. "To new beginnings," Lucian said. Nikolai looked at Aria. "To the woman who made it possible." They drank, and through the bond, Aria felt their genuine gratitude, their growing attachment, their complicated feelings that mirrored her own. She was falling for them. All 4 of them in different ways. And the terrifying part was she couldn't tell if it was the magic or her heart making that choice. "What happens now?" Aria asked. "Now," Dante said, pulling her close, "we figure out how 5 people bound by ancient magic navigate existence in a world that doesn't believe in either. Together." "Together," Kian echoed, and as the 4 vampire kings stood with her under the stars, Aria realized something crucial. She didn't want to be free anymore. Not if freedom meant losing this, losing them, losing the intense connection that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. The bond had won. Not through force, but through something far more powerful that she'd chosen them. And they'd chosen her. Together, Aria agreed and felt the bond surge with recognition, with acceptance, with something that felt remarkably like love. 4 vampire kings, bound to one woman. None would let her go. But the truth was she didn't want them to anymore. If you loved this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more vampire romance tales. Drop a comment telling us which king you'd choose if you were Aria, and check out our other supernatural stories in the playlist below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.